another podcast. We have an amazing singer-songwriter here whose name is Lizzy D from a band called Lilli Hammer. Yes, the same name from Norway, but she's not from Norway. She's a singer-songwriter from New Jersey. Now she's based in Gainesville, Florida. And she has evolved as an independent artist known for being a strong lyricist with her clever twists on words and a vocalist and extensive vocal range. Now, Lizzy, welcome to the Onstage Podcast. Can you give us a little bit of a background of who Lizzy D is and whatever got you into music?
Yeah. Hey, Chris, just want to say thank you, first of all, for inviting me to your podcast. It's a pleasure.
You're very welcome. Nice to meet you.
You too. How did I evolve as an artist? I started out very young with an interest in music. So, I think the first time I ever had any real inclination that this is something I wanted to do was probably, it goes way back. One of my best friends growing up. Her mom played the piano, and I believe she was an artist and a teacher. And my friend, she had to take piano lessons. That they had to do it. She didn't have a choice. She didn't actually like playing the piano, but she had to take lessons. And me growing up, we didn't have a piano in the house, and when I would visit and, be there for her lessons or see her mom, watch her mom play the piano, I was intrigued, with just the whole, it was just, I just knew then that this is something I would really love to do. And we used to sing like songs, to, like pretend when we were little kids to almost like what we call now karaoke, which we didn't have then, and to like the Beatles, and we would have a great time. So very much into music early on. And then my second, I think the real thing that got me into wanting to actually play music and be a songwriter was my dad. Actually, we were visiting my cousins in Connecticut one summer. It was it was during the summer, kids were out of school, it was a weekend. We went up there for the weekend, and I think I was in the kitchen talking. I was at my aunt's house, and I think I was talking to my mom, maybe one of my siblings, and all of a sudden I heard this sound come out of the other room, and it just resonated with me. And I was like, what is that? And it was my dad and his brother playing acoustic. They were just jamming away, and I was just enamored by it. I just stood there, and there was all the other kids were outside playing, playing ball, whatever. I just stayed with them and just hung out with them like the whole afternoon. And I actually picked up the guitar and started playing, and they were trying to show me a little bit. I was just blown away by it. So, and I've just been around musicians all my life. I have older siblings, so I grew up listening to a lot of 70s, 60s, 70s rock and roll. So yeah, lots of genres. But one of my siblings, my older sister, was married to a bass player. So, and they would jam at our house. My dad had this barn that they had built, like an outbuilding. It was huge because he was an auto mechanic, and he also built airplanes. So they would have the upstairs part like an apartment, almost like it was like a pool hall, and we had the billiards table up there and a place to jam, and that's where I was. Like every weekend when they'd come over, I was up in that room and just jamming with them. So I've just been around music my whole life, pretty much. So
I bet you had an excellent time, Lizzy, with your family, your siblings. My brother and I when we were kids, we used to listen. Well, we're really going way back in the 70s here when you had vinyl albums, and we were like putting vinyl albums on the old record player from the 60s and singing to the musical numbers of like Jesus Christ Superstar, to How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, Wizard of Oz. And we were just doing the whole scene and singing, but never in my mind did I think this is what I wanted to do. Like others will say, like with you, and others say, well, when I was 8 years old, and when I was 12 years old, and now they're like singer-songwriters. But me, I'm like, yeah, I have a good voice. I'm singing music. I want to be a doctor when I grow up. Like totally. It wasn't until like 10, 15 years ago that I really wanted to pursue this a singer, because I'm a tenor. I took vocal lessons, which now I have to upgrade. but it must have been very interesting, very fun that
Yeah.
you were able to watch your father just play the acoustics, and you're like, whoa, my ears perk up, and
Yeah.
they're like a carrot, and you're the rabbit, and you have to have that. You want that piece of the musical piece, right?
Right.
Um,
Right.
so
Hmm.
when in your early life did you decide that you wanted to go to Katey Agresta School of Voice? Why did you choose there and not go
Um,
outside the city?
um, why did I choose the Katey Agresta School? Honestly, I'd heard some good things about it, and it was exciting to be able to go into Manhattan, even just for a day, and give us a reason to go there. At the time, my husband at the time, he was taking guitar lessons. He already played in bands and he was a guitarist, but he wanted to, kind of get a little bit more training. So he took lessons also for guitar in the same building. And he actually had private lessons with Eddie Ojeda from Twisted Sister. So that was
Wow.
kind of, yeah. And then who I'd met obviously because we were there.
And D.
And
Schneider as well?
I'd never met him. No.
Oh.
No. But I remember I think Phoebe Snow passed through the hallway that day when we were there. One of the days we were there. And he also had lessons with Pat Thrall, which is kind of cool too. So yeah, it was an interesting time. And I just, it was a good school. It was good for me at the time. It was convenient because we live very close to Manhattan. So,
What do you think your vocal range is?
it's, I'm not, I don't like to put it in one category, I guess you could say, because I can sing in different ranges. So, the range, my octaves are pretty, extensive. So, and plus the falsetto, but other than that, I can get there pretty high up there. And, but it just depends on the type of song that you're writing, the music that you're doing, because I can, when I practice, the voice exercises, it just to stay on top of it, you got to stay with it and keep the vocal cords exercised. But I don't necessarily always go there with my vocals. So it depends on the song that I'm either writing or collaborating with someone. So it's good that I guess that I have those options, but I never really thought about it, like what I would be, what category. So I'm not sure.
But you have a beautiful voice. Like I've heard several of your videos, and the one you just sent me too is awesome. I
Thank
really
you.
like it. Now, talking about the songs that you put together, especially the one you showed me, what's
Yeah.
your creative process? Now, I've talked to many musicians, and they said they do the lyrics first and then melody. Others say the melody and then the lyrics. Others say that they just go outside and then look at nature and then thinking, oh, sky, the clouds. Okay, I have a song. So, what would your process be?
Again, it's not very, it's I can't put it into like one sentence because it could be a number of different processes. Like I could just have a melody in my head, and I'll think of something, and I'll think of like an idea or a theme, something, and sometimes the words just flow, and I have like all the lyrics they'll just come out. Like I can write a song in an hour or less, or sometimes it'll take
Wow.
me, yeah, sometimes it'll take me a day, sometimes it'll take me a week, sometimes two. It just depends on what's going on in my life at the time and the circumstances. It My moods, because us artists, we're moody creatures. We can be anyways. So it just depends on a lot of variables. So like I could start with a lyric. I actually do a lot of writing. So I do have a lot of lyrics, ones that I have not even used yet, So I would say I probably lean more towards writing the lyrics first. And then I just come up with a piece of music. It could be one note. It could be maybe two notes on the guitar, in which the guitar is my go-to instrument. I do play a little piano, but the guitar is my main instruments, and that's what I use. That's my writing tool, basically. But I do have lots of lyrics. I'll maybe start with that or an idea, and then I'll just strum a couple of chords or notes on the guitar, and then sometimes I'll get the whole song in like half hour, and then sometimes it could take me longer. It just depends. There's just really no there's no script, you know, there's no like systematic. It's very organic for me.
Now, what about song titles? Is there a possibility, and I know some other musician that can do this, is there a possibility you could just think of a title in your mind and write the whole song around it?
Yes, I've done that too.
There'll be a possibility of, let's say I'm going to write a song called Just Lizzy. Would you be able to do that? But would it be based on you, or would it be based on something else? Like, how do you write according to emotions, according to the way you're feeling, according to life experiences? How do you do that?
Yeah, all that. Like, for instance, what you just said, the title, Just Lizzy, it could be about me or something in my life, or maybe how that name came about, or it just could be something totally random, you know, but I would tie it in with the title somehow. You know, I would definitely tie it in. I think that's important. It doesn't have to be. I mean, I have songs where the title is not matched, like the hook or anything like that, or it could be the title might be from the idea of the song, but not necessarily the hook. So there's a number of ways to do it, or that I do it. And I do write. I do write from what I'm feeling. The majority of the time, it just, I can't force it. Like, it's not going to happen. And if I sit there and tell myself, okay, I'm going to write a song today, or I'm going to sit down and write something right now, I have to feel it first. So, but I'm always thinking, and those feelings are always, you know, swirling around. So there's a good chance that I'm going to come up with something, you know, at any given time.
That's amazing. So it says that you're self-taught on several instruments, including the guitar and bass. Now, is that the guitar you use in the back to do your song? When you write a song, is there a particular instrument you start out with?
Yeah. So can you see this one? I don't know. Mm-hmm. This is my Taylor. That's the one I use. That's my go-to just to write.
Wow.
Like if I have an idea, I'll go to that first. But sometimes I've written songs completely on just piano too, like no guitar. So it depends on my mood, but that is my go-to, the Taylor. I play mostly acoustic. I do play the electric, but again, it depends on the song. But to write, for me, the fastest way, the easiest way for me to write a song is on the acoustic. So
that is wonderful. I love the sound of the acoustic, and I love the Taylor. I love the Gibson. I love the Stratocaster. I love the Vantage. It's like amazing guitars. But I always ask a musician who plays these wonderful string instruments, is there a difference between an $8,000 Taylor or Gibson and a $500 Taylor or Gibson? Is there a difference in sound?
I mean, I've heard pros and cons. I mean, I think the $500 Taylor is just as good, you know, as, you know, a $5,000 Taylor. I mean, I think it depends on the musician and how you play it, you know, and how you get the point across. But I mean, there is definitely some differences for sure, you know, and how it's built and materials used, and you know, just the sound, the acoustics that it you know, provides with different materials and different strings. So but again, it's also, a lot has to do with the person that's playing the guitar. So I mean, that's what I think anyway.
Do you have a repertoire, Lizzy, of songs that you wrote, and then you listen to them, you're like, oh, I don't like that one, but even though a year ago you liked it? What do you do with those songs?
I just put them away in a file, save them for later, you know, and I might come back to it. It's just, if I need material, I might go back and look and see if there's something, you know, there that I could revive. I do have a lot of songs right now sitting there in a file that I wrote last year. And I'm seriously, like, I've been thinking about, it's a long story, so I won't get into it, but I've been thinking about just redoing them all a different way, with a different
Wow.
approach altogether. Yeah. They started out as more of a acoustic folk songs, like the adult contemporary feel, maybe with a little bit of pop in there, here and there. But I don't know. I think I might go a different direction, but I'm not sure yet. So there's a whole album's worth there that I gotta think about and contemplate. So I'm not sure. But in the meantime, I've been writing new songs, and I've been collaborating with several musicians around the world. So that's very exciting for me. It's great to have that that option, to have, to experience that as a musician. It really gets you out of that linear, thinking and that process, because when you collaborate with other musicians, it really opens up a whole new perspective of songwriting, and it's a wonderful thing. What one person's thinking should go here, and then you kind of bounce ideas off each other, and sounds, and it's a really cool thing, even down to the production part. So
Do you get a feeling of absolute completion and satisfaction when a song is completed and ready to go out? Or do you just suddenly say, no, it's not ready yet? And then a year goes by and like, I just finished it. Like, do you rather just write a song and have it finished immediately? Or do you work on a song? What's the longest you ever worked on a song before you completed it?
yeah, I have to think about that one, but there's one right now that I'm working on that I've been working on for like probably 3 months. Yeah, because the song was written, like it was written in a day, right? But it takes so much longer to get it out there, fully produced. It depends on, and everybody's situation is different. I have a really hectic life, so and I have a lot of projects going on at the same time. Plus, I have a day job, so you have to kind of work around, the your schedule. So sometimes it just takes a little bit longer than you expected. um, and I have I've been very fortunate that the folks that I've been collaborating with, they do mostly all of their own production. So when I collaborate with someone, those tend to get out a little faster. If it's my own material, that's going to take a little bit longer, because I don't do my own production. I do my own recording of my vocals, and I do scratch tracks here in my studio here. I use Logic Pro, but I have everything I need, but I don't have the skills to be top notch. So I have to go to another source. And right now, I'm very blessed to have a wonderful producer helping me with my solo project, with my songs. We're actually even writing songs together now, and he's in my opinion, one of the best producers that I've worked with, and one of the best, from what I hear, in Toronto. So, I'm very blessed to have him in my corner, and he's really helped me just get to that next level. Without him, I might have been like here, but now I'm like, with the production I'm speaking of, and working again, collaborating with him is also forced me to step out of the box, think outside the box a little bit, and just take a different approach with my music. So, and they turn out a lot better than what I could ever have imagined. So.
Yeah, you mentioned Toronto. I'm only 20 minutes from there. Oh yeah, been here all my life. So how familiar are you with this area?
I've only been in Canada one time. I went there for a wedding, because a good friends of ours way back, they got married, because they wanted to get married there because that's where their family was from originally. I think from Aurelia. Did I say that right?
Yeah, Aurelia. That's like 2 hours from here, but from Toronto, it's like an hour and a half. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I remember it was a really long drive. It was really long. It took forever. Like, felt like it was like a million miles from where we started, but beautiful country, beautiful.
Yeah.
So I've been there
Awesome.
once. I drove through Toronto. I hope to get back there again. So soon.
I think you will. I think you will.
I'd love to.
Do you think there's an expiry date on songs? Like I know there are some songs that are endless. For instance, 17 by Janice Ian. Like, I mean, that's a great song. What do you feel about that?
Yeah, I see what you're saying there. But I don't feel that should stop the creative, the process, or being able to just to keep the spirit of the song alive. So from when it was written, I think it's still okay to play the song, listen to the song. It's more like a memory. So, and if people understand or know why the song was written, and yeah, I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't feel like they expire. I think it's just a matter of taste.
Yeah, it's good to hear them though. Even like when you're talking about songs from the 70s, I'm first group that came to my mind thinking that you might have listened Casey and the Sunshine Band. Remember them?
Yeah.
And Leo Sayer,
Mm-hmm.
If I Need Love.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I was heavily into that. Cher, Thieves, Tramps and Thieves, and oh yeah. You can still listen to them. Like I have a whole Spotify list of all the old 70s songs, and they're just so tacky and so like kind of sugary stuff. Nowadays, the songs that you hear nowadays sort of like some of them have meaning, some of them don't. I mean, but look, you've had several songs compilations receive recognition from Billboard Magazine, and you also with Lilli Hammer. Tell me about what it's like to work with the other members of Lilli Hammer. Do you have like a sort of like a friction there? Do you all agree with things? Like what would be a Lilli Hammer song? What would be a Just Lizzy song for Lilli Hammer? Like one that you specifically wrote for the group? What's the difference?
So yeah, sure. So the Lilli Hammer songs that I wrote, now I only formed the band last spring, so it was like a year and a half ago, right? And I'll try to keep it brief, but I started out as a solo artist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why, but I thought, I wanted to, I was on the fence about it. Like maybe I need to, bring in some other musicians, and ultimately that's what I ended up doing. And I'm so glad that I did, because it's really opened up the doors for me in this whole music scene. And it's, you're networking with people. It's so important. And you just learn so much, about people, and you make a lot of friends. Hopefully not enemies, but you make a lot of friends, and you just meet a lot of different people, and you learn so much from their influences as well. So I'm really glad I made that decision to form the band instead of staying as a solo artist last year. So I formed the band Lilli Hammer, and the name is, and so, it's hard to think of band names. I don't know if you've ever, talked about that with other artists, but it's really hard to think of band names and try to be original, because there's so much is out there, and, you do the search, and that's taken, So one of my favorite TV shows was Lilli Hammer. And it took place in Norway, right? So I think, yeah. And so, well, that's a cool name for maybe an album, or how about a band? So it just kind of stuck. It's not very original, and there's actually a heavy metal band, I think in like Switzerland or Sweden or somewhere out there, that's got the same name, but they spell it differently. So I spelt it I put a little twist on it and I made sure that it wasn't already taken, and it stuck. It just kind of stuck with everybody, and the guys in the band, they liked it. They're like, yeah, just keep it, So that's kind of how it came about. So from a TV show, I liked. It's strange, I know, but
yeah. But weren't the Olympics in Lilli Hammer as well?
What year? Sounds familiar.
Oh,
I want to say that was a while back, huh?
Let me see. Lilli Hammer Olympics. Yes, there were in 1994. The Olympics were in Lilli Hammer.
Mm, cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that. I watched that. I always watch Olympics every 4 years. So tell us about how the song Alice came together.
Sure. So that was inspired by, I was reading. Okay. So, we always hear about corruption in the music industry from one artist or another. You hear about it, whether it's in social media, the news, whatever. And we know it's out there, but, and it's this whole indie revolution, going on. It's been going on, to get our voices heard. So it's kind of what it's about in a way. Um, I was reading an article about Taylor Swift, and that also kind of
Mhm.
inspired me to write that. And I, for some reason, I just thought Alice in Wonderland came to mind because she was bigger, she's bigger than life, and I thought, well, that's one way to an analogy to express that, empowerment for not just women now, it's for, all indie artists, but just this song, Alice, and it talks about, she's bigger than life. And so I think it is inspired by some of the female artists out there that have been down that road, so to speak, and had to fight for their rights, what they believed in. And I think that's what inspired it. I guess, yeah. And I'm a fan of Alice in Wonderland. So, the whole fantasy thing, it's kind of cool. And I just kind of tied the two together. And that's really what it's about. Empowerment and independent musicians finding their voice, all musicians, not just independent, but finding their voice in the industry and just fighting for what they believe in, because music is an art, and art is valued, and in every form it should be. It's a creative, beautiful thing. So
You ever heard of Tom McDonald? Talk about an independent artist. He's pushing himself way up there, and a lot of the music industry, they really hate him because not only are they asking him how many CDs did he sell, but it's sort of like, we want a piece of the pie. How dare you make money without us getting part of it? So they're putting him through hell. But he's got some pretty good songs. And one of them is called "It's the End of the World" with country singer John Rich. It's really good.
oh
And
wow.
he talks about how every musician was like that. Every independent artist was like that, because the music industry, like for instance, I know that it says that you wrote like 7 months ago that you're inspired by stories of other artists' struggles against the corruptive side of the music industry.
Right.
And your song Alice was produced by Joey Greco, and he also played all the instruments on that recording, and he's multi-talented. So was there something you took away from all that experience?
um it just, the song itself became bigger than what I ever imagined it to be. So it was the right move for that song. It started out on that little Taylor behind me, and
Wow.
it was just a few chords. I wrote the whole song on acoustic. And the story is, I wrote the song, and I was chatting with Joey one day, and I said, "Hey, I have a song for you." Sent it to him, and that's how it came about. So he
Wow.
brought it to a whole other level, and it's beautiful, So I was just like blown away. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is kind of how I heard the song. Like it fits the theme, it fits what I was trying to convey in my head. What about the music industry, it really needed that grit. So it definitely, it served he served that song so well. He did it so much by changing it from just an acoustic song that it was. But the beauty of it is that when you write from an acoustic standpoint, if you can write a song on acoustic, I mean, a song, you can change it to different sounds and different, a feel and vibe depending on the instrumentation that you use. But if it can be reverted back to an acoustic, that's a good thing, that you can just play it on acoustic. So
What do you think of the whole music industry that's apparently corrupted? Does it have something to do with the producer stealing money? Does it have something to do with, I know everyone wants a piece of the pie, but you got to push yourself up there. That's why it's good. You come up with Alice, and you could come up with another one. You could come up with a whole album. You could
Yeah.
like get accolades for an album. You could win a Grammy with the album. Do that all on your own without giving a penny to the producers and the directors. That's what it should be. But back in the 50s and 60s, there might have been corruption then too, but it was a lot more easier back then because there was no AI and there
Yeah.
was no apps to create music like the demo app where you can write full songs, and Pro Tools, mix music, and Fairy app, which allows you to edit podcasts.
Mhm.
Now it's all this stuff like AI. What's your feeling on that?
I think it's really interesting. Um, I mean, you can use AI for so many things, right? And even like you said, songwriting, lyrics, uh, band names, anything. I think it kind of takes away from our creativity just a little bit, though. I mean, if you can be smart about it and use it to your advantage, great. It saves time. Um, and it may give you other ideas that maybe you didn't think of, but I still think that we need to still pull from our own resources, because that's what makes it, to me, feel real. And it's the vibe that when you write a song, it's a special vibe. It's organic, and it's, I don't think anything can come close. I don't think you can replace that with AI, so
But do
I'm
you
not against.
really? No, I know, but do you really want to go and watch a well, ABBA did this, where you can actually watch ABBA perform again, but as what they look like back in the 70s.
It seems it's unnatural.
It is
Right.
definitely.
Yeah.
I really like how you worked with Joey Greco. You came up with Alice. So tell me about the 11 songs for the future album release. When is that album being released? And I noticed the songs "Thank You" and "Underneath." Are those Alanis Morissette covers, or is those
No.
your own? Those are your own songs,
Yeah, it's funny because she does have a song, "Thank You."
and "Underneath" as well.
Does she?
Hmm.
I know she has one that's called "Uninvited."
Uninvited as well, but there's one called "Underneath," which is a
Really?
fabulous song as well. Yeah.
I did not know that. And I mean, I'm a big Alanis Morissette fan. I used to, when I did covers in band, because I was in bands years ago. She was one of the artists that I covered really well. I loved singing her songs. Um, but of course, I didn't know all of them. But I mean, the big hits I covered. And what was your question again? Oh, the songs coming up. So yeah, so Underneath and Thank You are under the Lilli Hammer name. So they're also on Spotify under Lilli Hammer. I wrote those, I think it was last year or the year before, the end of 2021. Yeah, so those were written in 21, and then I got them recorded last about a year ago or so, and then I finally got them out. Took
So
me
what
a
does that
while.
mean? Finally got them out. What's the process to get a song on Spotify?
It's a pretty big process, and it takes, you have to. It's not difficult, but it just took me a while to finally get the final production of the song where I felt that I was ready to release it. It just takes, I think that's the time, that the hardest part is, fine tuning the song and making sure that you really are okay with it before you release it. And then releasing it on Spotify or the digital streaming. It's a whole other piece of the puzzle, and it can be time consuming. And if you don't have a team helping you, us in indie artists, we do everything ourselves. We wear all the hats, you know what I mean? We got to do everything: the marketing, the writing, the production, the marketing, the all the logistics. So it's a long process. I mean, you have to sign up with one of the digital streaming platforms, and then
Is that DistroKid?
I'm through DistroKid. There's TuneCore is another one. I think some people still use CD Baby. That was one of the first ones, but I think most people nowadays, well, people that I know that are writing, they use DistroKid or TuneCore. But DistroKid it was recommended to me by one of my mentors because it's like a one-stop shop. It's just you really user friendly. It has everything you need. It's pretty easy to maneuver through the site. They have a lot of like other things that you could add and options and for like music video, things like that. So it's a really good user friendly digital distribution company. I like it. I like it a lot. I don't have any complaints yet. But that's like I said, that's a whole other piece of the puzzle. Just, learning how to release your music professionally. We have to do it all ourselves. So you have to learn so much. It's not just knowing how to write a song. You have to know how to write it. You have to learn about production, because I do some of my own production with my vocals and then I send them off. So, but then they get really produced afterwards. So, you have to learn, you have to know how to record. You have to know how to use the software. Because I do start out organically writing on my acoustics. So I do what feels right to me is to write the song first. And then I put it through all the software. I have to record it through the software. And then it goes to production, pre-production and post-production. It's a process. And then you have to do your marketing. The marketing is very time consuming. If I could afford it, I'd hire somebody to help me with all my marketing. It would save me so much time. But it's also good though to learn how to do all that yourself, to really know what's going on with every song that you put out there. So.
And you get Spotify analytics to tell you how many streams there were? Because, okay, I don't know if you're familiar with Post Malone. Now, there's a song called Circles, and all his songs, like almost 1 billion streams. Now, how does that happen? How does someone just suddenly get a song with 1 billion streams? And some of these songs are like not even that good.
They can buy them. There's companies out there that charge.
Really?
Yes. And it's not just, I was in a call and I learned this from somebody in the music industry, and publishing, and even the famous, top of the list, artists, these music record labels, they're buying streams. I mean, it's all about the numbers. It's you know what I mean? It's about the numbers more than it seems than the actual song itself. It's crazy. But as an indie artist, it's really hard to get noticed because there's so many out there and you're just kind of lost in all of that, the shuffle, I guess. And to get that many streams, I'm still learning. I mean, I'm just fairly new at this. So there's some really awesome people out there that do like podcasts like yourself. And there's one, I think it's, I forget the name of it. I apologize, but they do like different podcasts and they help other, whether it's, some of them are through YouTube and some of them are through like Twitch. But they do reaction videos. So if you have a video, they'll put you on the podcast, and it's awesome. And the whole idea is to help indie artists that have under 1,000 streams, to help them to boost their streams. And they don't charge. Typically, they don't charge. So it's a nice thing to have that support. There are a lot of people out there. Yeah, I say, we know there's the corruptive side, but there's a really awesome side of the music industry too. And it's, you can find it through just the small communities, and they were helping each other and all the support. It's a wonderful thing to see it and to be a part of it. They're out there helping indie artists. There's people out there that are actually good and trying to support us. And it's an amazing thing to see that happening.
We interviewed Vox and Styx and Christina, and
Mhm.
Basically, she came up with this whole Facebook group called Band Together, which we're in, of course. And I
Awesome.
intend to get everyone on the podcast just because I want to
That's great.
promote them. I want to get them. I just want to help them. I
That's
want to
awesome.
help them. Like, I want to help you. I want to help exactly what you just said. And I want to be one of those podcasts and make promotional videos and just try to help them get what they need. And, maybe I'm not saying it's too late for me because I am old enough, but anybody who's like, younger than you, children, just kids 11, 12 years old, even more, 15 years old, starting out.
Yeah.
I want them to succeed because the
Yeah.
Britney Spears, the Taylor Swifts, the Christina Aguileras, they're almost on their way out.
Yeah.
And now you want the younger people to start, performing.
Yeah.
And so I want to help. I want to
That's
help.
great.
That's why I'm in the band together, because I want them to communicate with me. I want them to say, I want to be on the podcast. I want to say, yes, here you go, bum, bring, just like you. And I had
Yeah.
Greg Hopper, I had Michael Bache, I had most of them on, and I can't
Nice.
wait to post them. I can't wait to post the episodes.
Well, we
Um,
appreciate you and love what you're doing. I mean, I think it's awesome, and it's just it's such a great thing. It's beautiful.
I'm trying my
So,
best. Like, if I can
oh,
get you 1,000 more streams, then more power to you. Yeah.
right? Because
Um,
what I've learned is that when you're trying to, so I don't know if I mentioned this. So I am into, I don't know if I mentioned that to you earlier, but my goal. I'm really fascinated with sync licensing, and I would love to see one of my songs in a TV show, or a film. And, you know, it's hard to make money in this business, if you're not, a famous, A-list artist, but there is money to be made. And you can make it if you keep persisting, you don't give up, and you just keep writing and you keep submitting, and you get in with the right people, and you keep educating yourself. That's what I do. I take workshops and courses that help me to learn, so I know what the heck I'm doing out there, and it's an investment in my career. I'm investing this, and it's money well spent to have that education. Of course, you want to pick the right ones, the ones that are, there's a lot of scammers out there too, so you have to be
mhm.
careful. But yeah, I take a class with Sherilyn Keller. She's amazing, and she's been my mentor for the last year. I've learned so much from her. She's an independent artist as well, but she also teaches other artists how to release their music professionally, and she teaches them how to do sync licensing, and she brings on real, like, industry people that in the business that they talk to us and give us advice. It's a wonderful thing, and I've been so grateful that I found her. So I've just, it's just opened my eyes so much, and I've learned so much in just the last 12 months. But there's money to be made in sync licensing, and a lot of, like, so many people are going that route, or have, and I think if I thought about this, I forget, somebody had mentioned it. I don't know where it was, where I heard it, but it was a question that they had asked, hey, what it would be, if to be successful, like, what does that mean to you as an artist? And I thought, I'm at a local bar and it's karaoke night, and there's somebody goes up there and says, do you have on your playlist, do you have Alice by Just Lizzy? Then I feel like I've been successful. I made it. I mean, what songs are on those rosters? It's all the top songs that people remember, the classics, the new stuff, so that would be, to me, then I've made it. So I've made you know a name for myself, maybe, if I was on a karaoke, list. So,
I know, and you're one of the
right.
most honest people, because now you just shown me what the corruptness of the music industry is when you have to buy streams, and these artists like Post Malone have to go for it. Like,
Mm,
if you can just make the money doing music, selling of your, or streaming of your music, and people wanting to buy your music, and you do it honestly,
yeah.
that's what I call that's what, like, that's a musician. But for someone who has to pay just to get streams to make money,
Mm-hmm.
like, and I have to give the producer, I have to give the
Yeah.
photographer, the director, whatever, the money. How much do I get left? How much did the artist actually get? Which I don't agree with it.
Yeah.
And plus, we have the SAG and the AFTA strike now with the actors and actresses, and they're wanting to pull all the new movies that are supposed to be coming out this year. They want to pull them and not release them because of this strike, and the
Mm-hmm.
theaters are worried about that because then they lose money. You imagine if the musicians went on strike? That means
Yeah.
you shouldn't be listening to music. You shouldn't be streaming. You should be listening to Spotify because musicians will prevent you from doing that because we want our money. You imagine what will happen? Like,
I can't imagine. Ugh.
it's ridiculous. So you got, and I think independent artists like you and Tom McDonald, all of them, just do what you're doing, and like he presses his own CDs. He sells them to his fans. He makes money that way.
Sure.
And these music industries hate him because they're not getting any money for it. He's getting all the money, and they're like, "Good,
Yeah.
good. You
That's
should
why
look
it
him
should.
up, Tom McDonald. It's amazing.
Yeah. I'm gonna look him up for sure. Yeah.
If
When
you
we
can
get
get
him
me
on.
Tom McDonald on my podcast, I will send you money to get your 11 songs in an album as long as you name them after me. You know? Are you kidding, Tom McDonald? And you know what the main thing is that my wish, my dream, is to get Sting on my podcast.
Wow. Pretty
If you go to
awesome.
Rick Beato's YouTube channel, he actually had Sting on his podcast, and I'm like, because he
Wow.
knows Sting. If you're
Yeah.
famous,
Yeah.
and if someone wants to request Just Lizzy at a karaoke, that would be my. You have to thank me because I'd be the one that made that happen.
Okay. Definitely. Definitely.
How
Awesome.
did
Yeah.
how did you find Jay Stanley?
It's a funny story. So, do you know who he is?
No.
Oh, so yeah, he's a producer out of Orlando, music producer out of Orlando. He does a lot with Full Sail University too. I think he's part of that. But he was before Rob Thomas was Rob Thomas, famous Rob Thomas, and Matchbox 20.
Yeah. Oh,
He
nice.
was one of the original members of
Are
the
you
band.
kidding, Rob
With,
Thomas? Oh goodness.
yeah,
Yeah.
so
Wow.
they were bandmates, and they were
Oh
in it
wow.
was another band. I cannot remember the name of the band um, that they were before Matchbox 20, but that was his gig. So
Wow.
his guitar player, and so now he just he produces other musicians in the Orlando area, and I met him not through a music acquaintance. It was through my brother. My brother's son has a flooring business, and he redid floors in his house. And I was just shooting the breeze with my brother one day. He's like, "Yeah, we would do this big job, in Orlando, and this guy, he's a producer. You might know who he is. If you heard of him, And he's like, he was with this band, and that he's produced Creed. And I'm like, really? And you were in his house?
Wow.
Did his floors. So I was like, well, tell him. Did you tell him? He goes, yeah, I told him that my sister's a musician. And so I said, well, yeah, maybe I'll record a song there. So my nephew called him up and said, hey, my aunt wants to, do a song there, record a song. He's like, yeah. So we got in touch with each other that way. It's so funny. Small world. So
That is incredible.
I don't tell too many people about this because it's been a while, but I actually worked with, he's known as the King of Sax. Do you know who that is?
Sergio Margolis? I have no idea.
Nope. His name is Andrew Terry. His given name is Michael Andrew Terry. And he's passed away, sadly. He passed away, I want to say it was like 2010 or 2009. He was a studio musician in Motown. He was the sax player, the famous sax part that you hear, that lead, and I think it's "You Can't Hurry Love," that song. Genesis did a
Oh, Phil
Phil Collins
Collins, Can't Hurry Love.
did the
Oh, you
remix,
just
right?
have to wait. Okay.
Yeah, so the Motown did that originally. I forget which group it was. But anyway, he's like that's him playing the sax.
Oh, Can't Hurry Love. Yes. Wait, was that the Diana Ross as the Supremes?
Yeah. So he did a lot of work
Because
with
Phil Collins did a cover of that.
yeah, he did.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I worked with the King of Sax for about, I don't know, a year. I was young, but it was one of my first jobs that when I had moved. It's a long story, but
Mhm.
I was probably about 20, 21 years old. So he was already retired from music at that time, but it was really cool very humble, very, very kind man, very, very, he was a cool guy. And he told us some stories and, about his life and, and it was just cool to get to know somebody, from Motown. Like, wow, it's really cool. So you never know who you're going to cross paths with. So.
Yeah. Do you know if on a CD or on a song list, for instance, if these 11 songs that you're going to come out with a future album, um, are they kind of like tell a story, all 11 songs? And
No,
then
you mean like what do they
like a
call it?
story, like for instance, Thank You and Underneath. So Thank You and Underneath must tell the story about the other 8, 9 songs, right?
No, not really.
All totally unrelated. And that's interesting.
Yes, they're unrelated. I mean, they're some of them are based on my own personal experiences, and then some of them are based on maybe other people's stories, or just about life in general. The new song coming out on the 31st with DePitcha, that's about it's called Layers, and that's about it's a slow tempo pop tune, singer songwriter, with a pop vibe, and that's about life, like, how we can get all wrapped up in the minutia and get wrapped up in just all the material things in life, and maybe forget about what's really important, and things get a little crazy and chaotic, and then we crash and it comes to a head. You know what I mean? Like, it's just too much, it's overwhelming, and then we find ourselves pulling back and pulling away the layers. That's what the song is about. I collaborated with a great songwriter. He produces his own music as well. His name is Chris Pitchford. He's from I think Queensland, Australia, and I think it's Queensland. Yeah, he's from Australia anyway. And we just got together, and he sent me a musical piece, and he said, "Can you do something with this? And I like to collaborate with you." And I was like, "Yeah." I was thrilled that he asked me to collaborate with him. And he said, "Can you write some vocal melody and lyrics to it?" And I said, "I'll give it a try." And, when I first heard it, I'm like, this is different. And it's different than what I was writing of more recently. And it was, so I love that. I love a challenge. I love to have a challenge and write something different, completely different than like what I've been, writing, so it was a lot of fun. And so I basically listened to it a couple of times, and I wrote it back. I said, this is going to be a little bit of a challenge. It's a little bit different than what I've been used to writing as of late. But I'm going to give it a shot. And within, I don't know, less than a day, it was within that day, I had the vocal melody and the lyrics. It's like, I don't know how, I can't tell you how it came together. It's just, I had a thought, I had an idea, what I just told you about layers and life. And it just all fell together. It was like crazy. So, and I sent him a rough draft, like, I don't know, a day or two later, he was blown away. He's like, "Oh my gosh." It's like, that was fast. I'm like, yeah.
So everyone look in the description. You see Lilli Hammer's and Just Lizzy's YouTube channel. She's got 2. One is for Lilli Hammer Music, and the other one is Just Lizzy's Music. And then also on Instagram and Facebook as well. They are on there. And the new song, which will be released on July 31st. So make sure you listen to Lilli Hammer's music and Just Lizzy's song. And make sure that anybody out there who has a karaoke company that you add Just Lizzy song
Yes.
underneath and
Yeah.
that and the beautiful one, thank you, and underneath on the list so that it can
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. That'd be
yeah.
awesome.
So who would you like to collaborate with, famous musician wise?
Oh wow. Whew. I mean, there's so many out there that I love, and um um and so many genres too that I like. Probably would say off the top of my head, is it somebody that's currently like releasing music, or somebody, are you asking me just anybody? Like,
Collaborating with them was the best choice you made.
I would say if she would come back, because I don't know if she's still touring or if she's even out there anymore releasing music, Alanis Morissette.
Oh,
I just somebody that she just came to mind. She was somebody I really loved covering her songs, and she's a big influence in some of my songwriting as well. So that was the first person, but there's so many. Gosh, that's a tough question. Gosh, who would you pick, right? So
well, with me, it would be Josh Groban, definitely, and Andre Bocelli because I'm a tenor, right? But I love opera. But if
yeah,
Elton John said, yeah, I definitely wouldn't mind doing a duet with you, I'd say, okay, Elton, this is a song we're going to play, okay?
yeah,
Definitely. But I won't
yeah.
reject anybody because people
No,
found out that I duet with some famous musician.
yeah.
Definitely.
I would like to as well to maybe collaborate with would be Pink. I think she's cool. I mean, I've seen some of her, I mean, her interviews and stuff,
Mhm.
and I would love to collaborate with her as well. So,
Yeah. So I know even if you were to duet with Alanis Morissette, you'd have to explain your songs "Thank You" and "Underneath" to her. And say, "Hey, wait a minute, I got songs with those titles."
right.
So, do you think there's a hidden meaning in any of your music?
um, well, some of my lyrics do have like hidden meanings. Maybe like you could interpret them one way, but maybe I wrote them a different way for another reason. Um, but nothing weird, nothing nefarious, nothing. Just you could have different interpretations of the lyrics. Yeah. Um, but nothing. I mean, I think "Thank You" and "Underneath" are pretty much straightforward. If you listen to the lyrics, you can probably make your own interpretations. But it's funny that you say that, because years ago when I was in bands and I was writing, I've been writing for many years, and I had this one song called "Pink and Blue," and
Mm.
we had about 10 or 11 songs on this CD that we did, or album, and we had a write up in the I think it was in the Daytona News Journal, and because we had done a lot of tour, like we just toured locally in like Orlando and the East Coast of Florida, from like Jacksonville down to like the Melbourne area, I think is kind of where we stopped. And so we got to know the news, the the writer for the entertainment part of the newspaper, and his name was Rick DeAmpert, and he did a write up on us, and he was going through each of the songs, and "Pink and Blue." It was funny because when I read the article, I'm like, that's not what the song is about at all. He had his own interpretation. He thought it was about like multiple personalities, like I'm going through all these multiple personalities in my head. I'm like, nope, that's not what it's about. Not even close. But you see how funny it is that people can interpret, the lyrics completely different than the way that you wanted. You know what I mean? Like what you thought, what you wrote it for. So
I know exactly what you're talking about, Lizzy, because you're familiar with, obviously you're familiar with Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds,
yeah, yeah.
LSD.
Axl Rose, Guns N' Roses. So the song, I used to love her, but I had to kill her. You know that song? You remember that one?
No, but why? Was that actually about killing her? Or was that just a...
It's just a play on words. So really, what it's about was his dog. He had to put his dog down.
Oh.
I had to put her 6 feet under. Yeah, but the way he says it, it's brilliant because people think, oh my God, it's about his ex-girlfriend or whatever, and he killed her. It got, whatever. And it's just about his dog. It's sad. I mean, I'm a dog lover. I have 3 dogs, so I'm like, I don't like to hear about dogs dying, but but that's what the song is about.
Well, I uploaded a video um, on TikTok, and it had the word toxicity in it. TikTok deleted it and said it's against our rules and regulation. I'm like, toxicity.
That's strange.
It's the word toxicity. So I had to change the word to something else, and it's like it's getting ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
It's
yeah.
So how do you deal with anxiety?
Well, music has saved my life. Music has been my therapy my whole life because, I don't care who you are, you're going to have some kind of anxiety at some time in your life. And I don't believe anybody that they say, oh, no, I never get anxious. I've never felt that. Yeah, we all do at some point for some reason, right? So music has really been a lifesaver for me. Like when my sister passed away, I wrote a song about, and it was.
So sorry about that.
Thanks. Yeah, we were pretty close. So that was a hard time for me. And I went through a deep depression over that. But I managed to get through it, and it took a while, but then I wrote a song, and that's always therapeutic to be able to release those feelings in that creative process. It really helps you to get the feelings out, because, they stay bottled up for too long. It's not a good thing, so, yeah, I think that's how I deal with it. That's just one way. I mean, that's one way, but I mean, there's lots of ways. I mean, exercise helps with anxiety, and I also I meditate, so that helps, I mean, there's all types of meditation, so I think anything that a person can do to distract themselves from those bad thoughts, anything that they can do, that's to deal with those emotions or those thoughts. Really, it's anxiety is more of an intrusive thought, so for me it's music and meditation, majority of the time.
I'm so sorry about your sister. That's a terrible thing that happens to anybody. But you were able to move on, and you never get over it because my father and my mother passed away of cancer, and my mother died on Wednesday, July 19th, 1993, and on Wednesday, July 19th, 2023 was 30 years that we've lost her. So, and there's a lot of things, this is for you, Mom. And I'd sing for her, this is for you, because she loved opera singers.
Nice.
She loved Ella Fitzgerald. She loved them all. She loved listening to their voices. She loved this. Judy Garland was excellent. So there's always something out there to remember you.
Exactly. That's a great way to remember your mom and, a tribute to her. So that's awesome.
We really appreciate you being our guest today, and everyone look in the description and make sure that you like and subscribe to her channel, listen to her music, and the song Underneath and Thank You are all on Spotify, and I believe they're on all music platforms as well.
Yes, and Alice is out there on Spotify as well under Just Lizzy, and Layers with DePitcha will be Layers. The song Layers, Just Lizzy and DePitcha, that'll be out July 31st. And then I have a new song coming out pretty soon. It's called Insomnia, but it's not quite done, almost. So yeah, so look for Insomnia next. That'll be the next one coming out. So.
And everyone, we have a special little presentation here of the video. that we're going to show everyone even before it comes out as a little treat. And we will let Lizzy tell us the name of the song, and it's released on July 31st. What's the name of the song?
It's called Layers.
Layers.
Don't give a fuck what the weather brings. We wrap ourselves up with familiar things. The sheets twisting tighter with every turn. Decisions that tire us to live and learn. But then we crash and burn. Got nothing to lose or to give away. Break a few rules, Frankie, I'll do it my way. Don't give a damn why the canary sings. Still we immerse ourselves in these finer things. The grip's getting tighter, is it worth the return? Decisions that tire us to live and learn. So many layers, we crash and burn. Whoa, whoa, why do we crash and burn? When life gets so damn hard to do, we start peeling back the layers, oh, peeling back the layers. When it gets too damn hard to breathe, we start peeling back the layers, oh, peeling back the layers. Don't give